Hey everybody, PJ back with Exotic Car Hacks, and today's video we're going to be talking about the 5 investment cars that no one is talking about, but they should be, because there is going to be some huge opportunities to make some really good money with these particular models because people aren't buying them. And I think one of the reasons they aren't buying them is because they haven't actually looked at the market. So what are basically the cars that people should be looking at that they're not paying attention to? And the first one we're going to start with is probably one of my favorites that people have been neglecting but really shouldn't have: the 2008 911 Turbo GT2. Now, we've known about the RS, the new RS being a very hot contender out there. We've heard about the old GT2 996 model rising big on the money factor, almost doubling in its value over the last 12 months. But we really haven't seen the jump for the 08 GT2, and yet there are a couple of indicators telling us it's about to. The first one is the 996 market has caught up now to the 997 variant. So that means that the 997s, which are better GT2s, are going to have to go up. And while people will argue that the GT2 does not have an RS variation, like the 996 did not have an RS variation, and the GT2 for 997 does, so the RS is a more popular car that has risen in dollars. That is somewhat true. However, do not forget that the 08 GT2 is also one of the final GT2s that is a 6-speed. So I think there is going to be a huge jump on that car, going from the 150s, 160s, all the way up to the 250 to 300 range. And I think we're going to start seeing that over the next 12 to 24 months. So keep an eye on that particular car, especially if you can find a clean example still under 160. There are a few cars floating out there in the 180, 170 range, but again, the dollar on that car to be safe while carrying the investment is going to be around 160, but at 180, I still don't think you're going to lose, especially if you enjoy the drive, if you keep the mileage low. Try to keep a car with 4-digit miles on it. So the second car we're looking at is the 2002 SL500 Silver Arrow. Now, previously, you may have heard me talk about the SL500. It's kind of going to be an iconic car, especially the squarer, older versions. The 2002 is the final edition, and the Silver Arrow is the rarest of the edition of that generation. Now, particularly, we'll see these cars trading hands somewhere between 20 to 30,000, some cases 18. But if you get lucky enough to find a clean Silver Arrow under 30,000 miles, around 20 to 25,000, it may be worth stacking in your garage. I'm a big believer that the SL series will eventually end for Mercedes, as it's not the most popular car out there, and pricing just can't rival some of the competing cars that are out there on the market now, especially in the exotic car realm, around the same dollar. And I think that's why they're going to lose significant market share around like mass-produced cars like the SL. However, the older SLs, which weren't as mass-produced and quite iconic of their time, didn't compete with any exotics. And I think the 2002 is the final year of what was the most iconic SL ever made. And so look for a 2002 SL500 Silver Arrow and thank me later. The next car we're looking at is the 2006 VANQUISH S. Now, we've seen the Aston market be very weak in resale, but we're talking about a $300,000 car again for $60,000 today. A lot of people really didn't like the VANQUISH because of its problematic transmission and a lot of issues that it had to undergo, especially as it was an earlier era for Aston Martin. But the 2006 is the final VANQUISH for that generation ever made, and it is available in the S trim model. So the 2006 VANQUISH S, while fantastic, is just basically being overlooked because of the problems of the 2002 to the 2005 cars. And so this final edition is quite a good car and can still be bought in the 60s and should be considered if you are looking for incredibly beautiful, as it is one of the most beautiful cars ever designed in history, and I think it will do very well in the future. We've seen the older Astons pick up huge steam, bringing up huge 6-figure and 7-figure numbers at auctions, especially when they're restored and they're in great shape. And I think that design, backed by the franchise of the James Bond series, was just one of the best possible Aston Martins you can own that still has quite a bit of upside. I mean, remember, the DBS is now in the hundreds. That started to go up, and the new VANQUISH has stabilized. So we now know that the old VANQUISH has nowhere to go but up. The next car we're looking at is the 2002 MODENA 360. F360, which is the Ferrari variant previous to the F430. Again, similar to what we saw happen with the F355 with the rise of the people trying to buy these older 6-speed cars and these iconic designed older Ferraris, I think we're going to see the Modena, which is a very, very special car for Ferrari, start to shoot up. Previously, we saw a lot of supply in the market, but we are starting to see less and less clean cars appearing in the market, let alone red cars. Now, I know 6-speed cars are going to be near impossible to get, but just the Modena as a whole is going to be a really good investment car to look at over the next couple of years. However, right now, 6-speed cars are still out there around the 100K range, and I think will still do really, really well in the short term as well as the long term. And last but not least, another incredible car we are looking at today is the 2012 SLS Coupe. I've said countless amount of times in my videos that the SLS Coupe is going to be one of the best bangs for the buck ever, partially because the gull wing is something that is incredibly awesome and something that is going to be amazing all around because of the doors. Now, people have said and talked to me 100 times about the AMG GT variants being just better cars than the SLS, but the argument, again, does not lie in what is a better car, but rather what is a better investment, and you can't beat gull-wing doors. Remember, investments come from the limited nature and the exclusivity and the uniqueness of something that isn't available anymore, from a transmission to a set of doors to a design to anything else, and to its beauty and its historic heritage at the time it came out. So the gull wing, now the gull wing again, is going to hold a lot more weight than a mass-produced AMG GT. So do not compare engine sizes, performance, or anything else, but rather look at the uniqueness and exclusivity. And while it wasn't exclusive when it first came out, it certainly is a lot more exclusive now with less and less cars appearing each month on the market, showing you that there's a trend, again, that this is becoming an endangered species in the car world, and as a result will start becoming a collector car. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 picks that I think are the best investment cars to go after right now, that are the underdogs in the market that people aren't actively looking at. So if you're looking to add a car to the collection that you're not going to drive all the time, consider one of these 5 cars. Otherwise, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and of course, leave me an awesome comment. I love to hear your thoughts on what you think I missed on my list, and perhaps what you think is the underdog that I should be looking at or doing a video on next. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you next time.